Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 4.
A terrifying scene this morning outside a middle school. We're in Somerset with the latest on what police say a man did to his ex-girlfriend and himself.
Arctic front is right on top of the region. I'm tracking a 30-degree temperature drop straight ahead.
Thousands get ready for tonight's Concert for Valor. I'm Craig Boswell on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., where fans and musical superstars are warming up.
Welcome to WKYT News at 4 on this Veterans Day. I'm Jennifer Palumbo. You don't need a winter coat this afternoon, but you will in the morning. Right now, temperatures are in the 60s and even a few 70s in parts of our region. This is our sky cam in downtown Lexington, where it's a warm and windy afternoon. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has a first look at the forecast, and Chris, big changes are on the way.
Yeah, we're getting ready to wipe that out in a hurry, Jennifer. With a Arctic boundary that is out across the western part of Kentucky, it means business. Look at the numbers. You mentioned that 70 into the eastern part of the state. Louisville has dropped to 59 degrees. It's 41 in Paducah. Let's get into parts of Indiana. Upper 30s are showing up just across the river. So that's a 20-degree drop from Louisville into southern parts of Indiana as of now. That whole mess is working its way toward the east, and it is pushing that warmer air that we've had today on out of town. Line of gusty showers pushing in from the west as well. Live First Alert Defender tracking the rains. Now, at least the steadier showers lining up across the Interstate 65 corridor, traveling down the Bluegrass Parkway. Get into parts of Elizabethtown, the Bardstown area, Lawrenceburg. You're going to run into a couple of raindrops on the windshield. Getting a few showers now. Trying to pop around Frankfort and Scott County, and from downtown Lexington toward Fayette Mall, down 27 into the Nicholasville area. Some very light showers. Now, if you're out this evening, we go from the upper 50s to the low 40s in a hurry, as showers will be coming common during the latter part of the evening. From there, Jennifer, it's all about the Arctic cold and even snow chances invading your 7-day forecast when I come back in just a few minutes.
A violent crime in a southern Kentucky school parking lot. Police say a man tried to kill his girlfriend by stabbing her outside Meese Middle School in Somerset this morning, then killed himself. WKYT's Phil Pendleton is in Pulaski County with the latest. It's our top story at 4.
It happened here in the south parking lot of Meese Middle School about 8 o'clock this morning. Police are telling us that Angie Rodriguez had just dropped off her child at the school and was told to meet her estranged boyfriend, Marcus Popche, here. She was actually in her car in the driver's seat, and he was in the passenger seat. He handed her what began as a love letter, but that ended with a threat. Now, police say that letter was written mostly in Spanish. And then at the end, Rodriguez began to fear for her safety. She tried to get out of the car when he stabbed her several times.
The handwritten note was almost a full page, but the one part of it we took it was written in Spanish. Almost a direct quote was, "I love you, and that's why we're both going to die."
Marcos Popche then stabbed himself, and he later died at UK Hospital. I'm told that Rodriguez suffered a lot of injuries and that she's being treated at UK Hospital. I'm also told by relatives and neighbors that this was not the first time that he had assaulted her. Much more on that coming up at 5 and 6. But for now, in Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Popche and Rodriguez did have children, but police say they did not have any children together. We continue to track the investigation into the murder of an eastern Kentucky woman. State police say around 6:30 last night, someone shot and killed Patricia Lutz outside her home on Highway 2016 north of Beattyville. Police are looking for any clues that can lead them to the killer.
Our investigators, they were out all night conducting interviews and trying to track down any kind of leads that were coming in.
So far, police have not made an arrest. Lutz's body is in Frankfort for an autopsy this afternoon. We'll have the latest from Lee County coming up on WKYT News at 4:30. And that's just one of the stories our reporters are working on for WKYT at 4:30. Amber Philpott joins us from the WKYT newsroom with more of the news in progress. Good afternoon, Amber.
Good afternoon to you, Jennifer. A burglar used a balcony to make his escape after an overnight break-in. The victim woke up to find a man in the living room of his apartment on East High Street around 3:30 this morning when the victim confronted the burglar. He says the man went to the balcony and then jumped over the edge railing, and the burglar fell about 15 to 20 feet to the ground. He got away with an Xbox and a couple of beers. We talked with the victim coming up on WKYT News at 5. All across the nation, people are pausing to pay tribute to those who have served our country. Camp Nelson in Jessamine County held its annual Veterans Day ceremony this morning. It is one of the largest in central Kentucky with nearly 300 people in attendance. Coming up on WKYT News at 5, you're going to hear from a veteran about why this day is so very special. And Eastern Kentucky University also honored veterans today. The school participated in a national roll call, reading names of veterans until 1:30 this afternoon. A memorial ceremony followed. It included a moment of silence and a 21-gun salute. We'll have much more from Madison County coming up on WKYT News at 4:30. And that is a look at just some of the news that's in progress. Jennifer, back to you.
Thank you, Amber. Now to stories making headlines across the nation at 4, and we begin with Veterans Day. Today is the anniversary of the end of World War I. Veterans Day honors the men and women who've served our country in the armed forces. Craig Boswell is in Washington with some of today's ceremonies.
Vice President Joe Biden laid a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns at Arlington Cemetery. He made special mention of the veterans who joined the military after 9/11.
They were prepared to follow Osama bin Laden to the gates of hell, and they did.
The Secretary of Veterans Affairs promised a turnaround at his embattled agency.
At VA, we are reorganizing for success in this effort, perhaps the largest restructuring in the history of the department. The VA must regain and retain a laser-like focus on veterans.
Across the Potomac on the National Mall, fans were getting ready for the Concert for Valor, featuring an all-star lineup.
I'm expecting to see Rihanna.
My favorite would be, of course, Springsteen or the Black Keys.
For many veterans here, the Concert for Valor is about more than the stage performances.
No, it's a little bit more than that. This is people giving thanks for what we do.
It's good that the country's starting to finally recognize how important our veterans are in preserving the way of life that we have here, so I appreciate that.
Metallica, Carrie Underwood, and Bruce Springsteen are just a few of the big names scheduled to play. The 3-hour concert, which is free, is aimed at raising awareness of issues that affect veterans. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Washington.
Up to 800,000 people are expected to fill the National Mall for the Concert for Valor. An emergency room doctor who was diagnosed with Ebola last month has been discharged. This is video of Dr. Craig Spencer walking out of Bellevue Hospital in New York this morning. After rigorous treatment and testing, city health officials say he is now virus-free. The 33-year-old physician contracted Ebola last month after treating patients in Guinea. Meanwhile, the 21-day incubation period is over today for nurse Casey Hickox, who defied quarantines in New Jersey and Maine after returning from West Africa. People across the Rockies and upper Midwest are digging out from under a foot or more of snow today, and they're enduring temperatures that plunged by as much as 50 degrees overnight. It's a preview of what's in store for the rest of the Midwest and East later this week. In Oklahoma City, where yesterday's high was 80 degrees, the low this morning was 30. A Veterans Day ceremony in Denver had to be moved indoors after temperatures fell into the teens. The fight against Ebola is getting help from Google. How much the tech giant is donating to help find a cure next in WKYT Money Watch.
Follow WKYT online at WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Not much change on Wall Street today. The Dow picked up 1 point to close at 17,615. The S&P also added 1, and the NASDAQ picked up 9. As you can see, they're honoring veterans there on this Veterans Day. Alltech is planning a major expansion of its brewing business in Lexington and plans to quadruple its brewing capacity. According to our news partners at the Herald Leader, the Nicholasville-based company plans to spend $7.5 million to renovate its existing brewery in the triangle of Maxwell, Pine, and Cross Streets. Alltech is also coming out with another seasonal beer. Honey Barrel Brown Ale will come out on draft this week and in stores next week. Google is joining the fight against Ebola. The tech giant will contribute $2 for every $1 people donate to nonprofits such as Save the Children and Doctors Without Borders. The company is also giving $10 million to support those nonprofits as they work to contain the disease, which has already killed nearly 5,000 people, one person here in the U.S. Many millennials are not saving for retirement or even a rainy day. According to a new report from Moody's Analytics, adults under the age of 35 have a savings rate of -2%. That means they're burning through their money and going into debt. And that's despite recent economic growth and job creation. On this Veterans Day, businesses are honoring members of the armed forces with special deals. Applebee's is saying thank you to current and former service members with a free meal. You just need to show proof of military service. All veterans will get 50% off their food purchase at Sonny's Barbecue if they dine in. Red Robin will offer a free Red's Tavern double burger with bottomless steak fries to all veterans and active duty military guests. And at Johnny Carino's, veterans can get a free meal from the special Veterans Day menu with their choice of unlimited soup or salad. You can find even more offers at WKYT.com.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. We are here at Veterans Park Elementary where they wrapped up their very special Veterans Day program. Chorus sounds amazing for us today. They did a great performance. Dr. Paul Grubbs is with us, as well as Miss McVeigh, who's the principal here. You guys, Miss McVeigh, do this very special service each and every year. You say it's always your favorite.
Yes, every year at Veterans Park Elementary for 17 years we've been able to recognize our veterans, and it's just a small way that we can teach our kids the importance of service and what our veterans have given for our country and honor them as well. And we're excited today. We had over 50 veterans in the audience, and it's just a touching, heartwarming way for us to teach our kids about respect and veterans.
Dr. Grubbs, you yourself are a veteran. You've been here in years past. Talk a bit about the program and what a day like today means to you.
The veterans of the United States of America, I salute you. And passing in my ship the islands where the Marines were so numerous that it became a health problem that they had to bulldoze them into a common grave. My ship, the Missouri, weighed anchor there temporarily and lowered its flag in honor of those brave young men. And it still brings tears to my eyes. But there are so many other things that when our President Truman, ordered the Missouri to go around Okinawa into the Bay of Japan and accept the unconditional surrender of Japan to the United States. I was there. Miss MacArthur, Nimitz, Halsey, all of the 5 stars and some 4 stars. And it was times you get goose pimples when you remember it. And at my age, I'm 87, and I'm still there. I can remember so many things there. And after the war, the Pope invited us, and the Catholic chaplain and 7 enlisted men. And because I was the librarian on board the Missouri, I was selected to go, although I was Southern Baptist.
Well, today is definitely a day to remember, and it's definitely a day to celebrate you as a veteran and the many other veterans out there. We appreciate Veterans Park Elementary allowing us to come. Now, coming up at 4:50, we have a special presentation from our VPE Chorus for a very special Veterans Day. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about, honoring our veterans.
Thank you, Deanne, and a big thank you to all of our veterans. And I love
How sweet was that,
the students singing 50 Nifty United States.
Yeah.
I remember that from elementary school.
You learned your states that way.
Yeah, I did.
I won't ask you to sing it. Don't worry, audience. We're good.
We'll spare you. More from Deanne coming up in our next half hour. Well, it is one of the fastest growing cosmetic procedures. In Better Living, find out why plastic surgeons are seeing a big increase in the number of people having earlobe jobs. And new research shows what marijuana does to the brain. That's next on WKYT News at 4. It's time for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. Plastic surgeons in Britain say they're seeing a surge in the number of surgeries to repair earlobes. Some people who pierced then stretched their ears say the holes are getting in the way of their careers. Alfonso Van Marsh explains.
Liam Palmer is determined to become a soldier with the British Army. But the military won't take him because of the gaping holes in his earlobes from years of wearing plugs to stretch them.
I don't regret it. It's just part of who I was.
Now the 21-year-old is among a growing number of Brits getting plastic surgery to fix what they once saw as fashionable.
We've seen a really big increase in the last, particularly the last year.
Doctors numb the ear for the procedure, but patients stay awake. Cosmetic surgeon Adrian Richards says once ears are stretched past half an inch in diameter, they won't shrink back. So cutting away the excess skin is the only fix.
We remove a wedge, but also two smaller wedges up on the natural fold of the ear to lift the ear up.
So these are just some deep stitches.
Earlobe repair surgery takes about 40 minutes and it's not cheap. It can cost up to $3,000. Liam hopes changing his appearance will pay off.
This is it for the Army. It's one step closer.
His bandages will come off in about a week. Then he says it's up to him to make the cut. Alfonso Van Marsh, CBS News, High Wycombe, England.
The U.S. Army cracked down on body piercings earlier this year, banning soldiers from having holes larger than a standard earring. The effects of chronic marijuana use on the brain may depend on the age a person first tries it and how long they use it. Researchers at the University of Texas studied nearly 50 people who smoked pot 3 times a day. Cognitive tests showed users had smaller brain volume and a lower IQ, but that other parts of their brains worked harder. There may be a new way to fight macular degeneration, the #1 cause of blindness in the elderly. Scientists in Florida say the anti-inflammatory drug Solindac may provide protection against age-related macular degeneration.